So some trivia. Did you know that the richest person who ever lived in the history of mankind was a 14th century West African emperor called Mansa Mansa? You probably didn't know this because world history, let alone black history, isn't taught in UK schools. There's no mainstream black or BAME-owned global media, whether you're talking about TV, 24-hour news, internet, newspapers, social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. None of that is owned by black people or BAME people from that background. The person I was talking about, Mansa Mansa, in today's wealth would have been worth about $800 billion US, which I'm led to believe is more than double Jeff Bezos. And most of his wealth came from salt and gold, as opposed to kind of stealing from neighbouring empires, as I understand it.
So the BCA was established in 1981, and it's situated in Brixton's Windrush Square, which is an iconic square because of the name itself, alluding to the Empire of Windrush, and many of the settlers settled in Brixton. So it's in an iconic location. It's documents by the people and in a place where it's accessible to the people, which is very good. It's the only National Heritage Centre dedicated to collecting, preserving and celebrating the histories of African and Caribbean people, which I find it's very, groundbreaking, this institution and this archive, because it's the only one of its form in Britain, although I guess Black British people are all over Britain and quite a proportion of the population. So maybe in the future we'll see more than one archive where other people, not just in London, but throughout Britain, can access these materials. So one of the things that the Black Liberation Movement really helped with was the Depo-Provera contraceptive jab. So this jab was given to mostly Black women and other ethnic minorities as a trial. So they were experiencing lots of bad side effects, but no one in healthcare cared. And often in health, they said that Black people could cope with more pain, and there were just some misunderstandings about Black people and in the health profession. So they really helped with this and pushing through things to change this. And I guess I've put this quote here at the bottom because it really shows how intersectionality and viewing things from each identity together is important, because here it's saying that the feminism movement was campaigning for more contraception and more birth control. However, if those birth controls were going to be tested on Black women, then that had it wasn't great for Black women. Also, I just put a present day snapshot because although this happened in like the 80s and 70s, which wasn't that long ago, you can still see today there's an inequality in healthcare, as Black women are 4 times more likely to die in pregnancy during childbirth.
And the other thing we did was we had this big demo outside Question Time. There's a picture of it here. And it was quite interesting. It was a bit of it was a bit crazy, as these demonstrations tend to be. But one effect of it was that the next morning, when you looked at the papers, you didn't just see pictures of Nick Griffin's mug on each paper. You also saw pictures of lots and lots of people protesting against him and being very angry. And that sense of opposition to him that you could see on the TV, you could see, kind of filtered its way, I think, into the Question Time audience, because he had quite a hostile questioning from the audience, much more so than you would normally expect from something like that, and also didn't perform very well. So he kind of, it wasn't really the great triumph that he was looking for. I'd say it was probably a bad day for him.
So now I'm going to talk about what it's like to have a non-English name, whether it's the first name or a surname, both, and how that affects your ability to get a job. So in January 2018, the BBC did an article, did a story, and it basically said that British citizens from ethnic minority backgrounds have to send 60% more job applications to get a positive response compared to their white counterparts. Again, sadly, if you ask anyone who's from a Nigerian, Ghanaian, Pakistani, Indian background, that's not breaking news as far as they and their families and parents are concerned. So in this study, they sent 3,200 fake job applications for manual and non-manual jobs to a recruitment site, and from November 16 to December 17. And the only thing they changed was the applicant's name, which was based on ethnicity. So obviously you could tell if someone within reason was from Nigeria or Ghana or Pakistan or India or China based on the name, if they gave the person a generic ethnic name. And guess what happened? Whilst 24% of the white applicants received a callback from UK employers, only 15% of the ethnic minorities did. And compared to the white applicants, Pakistani heritage had to make 70% more applications. Nigerian and South Asian had to make 80% more applications. And Middle Eastern and North African had to make 90% more applications to get the same outcome. If we turn to financial services, these are the real numbers if you're talking about what it's like in financial services. So there's over 5,000 director positions in FTSE 100, 250 and 350. But BAME directors represent about 8% of those positions, out of 14% UK population. 37% of FTSE 100, 69% of FTSE 250, and 59% of FTSE 350 do not have any BAME directors whatsoever. Not just black, but none, no one. And 8 companies, of the ones who have, 8 companies account for 25% of those BAME directors. So you've got companies like Airtel Africa who have like 5 board members who are black or minority because that company's from Africa. And then you have Boohoo, who I think the founder is of Asian origin. So obviously, like, there's no way he's not going to be on the board, is there? You only have 15 BAME people who hold the position of chair or CEO. And other than Tijan Tame, who was the former Prudential CEO, right now, there's no black CEOs in the FTSE 100 whatsoever.
It shows here that racism is prevalent in the workplace, and 34% of black women have heard racist jokes or so-called banter. But I think for me, what was interesting is that, yes, this data is very shocking, but it's the intersectional sort of component, because this has happened to women because they're not only black, it's because they're also women. So if you look at just maybe like black instances of racism or just like sexist instances, you might not pick up on this subset of people, and you can't help people that you can't see in your data. So only 1.5% of leaders are from a BME background. And in business, there are 20 chief executives in the FTSE 100, yet none of them are BME women. So maybe people think there's progress, but in terms of BME women, there's limited progress being made. But I'm sure if we were to look at things from an intersectionality perspective, maybe there could be more progress or more initiatives pushed forward to get these things sorted.